All right, re-rolling. This is Freedom Phil. Let's get into it. And hey, what's today's topic? Anarchy, anarchists, the fake posers versus the people that are really there. And I never really considered myself an anarchist, but if I look back at it versus a lot of the people that I knew that were all about it, turns out I was actually living your dreams. I was the reality, and I still am compared to most of you chicken shit conformists. Don't know that song? Dead Kennedys. Look it up. Conformist like your parents. It's a great song. By the way, once again, as I always say, if you're letting your kids just randomly watch anything on the internet and they stumble across me and you're like, oh my God, you said this, and that, oh my God. No, that's your fault. You're a shitty parent. You should know what your kids are watching on the internet. And as always, turn up the video speed because, hey, when I upload this, why not watch things at 1.5 to 1.75? I listen to most things at 2.5 to 3 times the speed. Freeze your brain. Let's get into it. I was thinking about some people from the past and then thinking about like how much they have basically just become the stereotypes, the conformist, that they said, we're never going to be that. And, I get it. People change. Most of your lives are a joke in the sense that you believe you're something, but you're really just a fashion trend of the times. Don't believe me? Go back and look at like the suits women wore in the 80s, the big hair. Go back to the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and look at just different fashion trends and styles, and then social causes, and realize most of this shit was manufactured for you. One of my friends, and sometimes the guy was a douche to me. He was an okay guy, but I could admit that's what guys are. I remember him, like, we were talking, we were hanging out in the van, one of my buddy's vans, and we were having some beers. And at some point, he looks over at me and he's like, we were talking about something. He's like, well, you sold out. I look back at him and I'm like, sold who out? Yourself. I'm like, I like you. I'm like, who the fuck are you? I like, what? So what? I got a job. I'm paying my bills. I got a house payment and ain't nobody else showing up to fucking help me with this. Like, are you doing it? Oh no. So I got to do what I got to do to make shit happen. He shut up real quick. Because you got to understand, that guy was a favored individual in this situation. I am not. I have minus charisma. He has plus charisma. He's kind of a bad boy, pretty boy type of thing. That used to be kind of the dude with the anarchy stuff. He had his hoodie with all the anarchists and the angel wings on it and stuff. And it's just like he was all about fuck the government, fuck the government. Like what? I guess yeah, you listen to enough a little bit of punk, a little bit of Rage Against the Machine, and like fuck anarchy, yeah, man. And I was never screaming anarchy. You know why? Because I was just living my life. I remember at one point, this guy, we were hanging out and he says, what do you believe in? I'm like, I don't really aim to believe. I just do. I just enjoy my life. And he's like, you don't believe in anything? I'm like, myself. I mean, what do you want me to tell you? I do what I do. I just live. And he's like, well, the man that doesn't believe anything will fall for anything. I'm like, that's a line from a song, right? You know how dumb you sound? You're just regurgitating what someone else told you to say. This dude, and he was a light guy. And I said, and one day I was talking to the other guy that was there down the road, and I said, did you ever think how funny that was? He's like, well, what do you mean? Because the guy, he even regurgitated. I'm like, no. Has it ever occurred to you that most people who say stuff like that, most people have fallen for something? They follow what they've fallen for. And I'm like, I'm just not buying into most people's shit. There's some things I will get interested in, but I'm not falling for it, right? When I lived in the woods for 4 years, my buddy's dad had some land. I rented it. I had my own yurt. I think I was more close to the anarchist spirit than most people could imagine. Anarchy isn't going into the city and just burning down society because you're butthurt that your EBT check didn't show up. You're butthurt that your free apartment. And by the way, the guy that I'm talking about, by the way, we'll call him the Toilet Casanova. Ladies loved him. He was kind of that white Latino, looking dude. He was a good hard worker, by the way. Good hard. He'd work hard day, and the ladies are like, "Oh, Corey, I remember one time, there's another story. One time he pulled a gun on me, but nothing big happened. Fucking talked him out of that real quick. I'm like, you do realize I tell people where I'm at. So if anything happens to me, they'll know who to look for. And then everybody else around you is totally fucked over. So you better take them out too. And he got real smart then because he realized they would fucking kill him. Because they're not going down. But it's like this guy, Mr. Anarchist, with his anarchist hoodie and his angry government rants. Dude, you literally got kicked out of your parents' house and was living up in your brother's attic. I'm not judging that. I'm saying you lived in a skewed existence. Sort of like me in a way where I paid my buddy's dad $100 a month and I rented some land and I built a yurt. But you lived in an existence screaming about anarchy, having no weight on your shoulders. You went out and moved concrete forums and said, this guy was talking about the government makes it so hard for people to get a house. This is back in the early 2000s, right? You know, and we'd be hanging out up there. I was just getting drunk. We were hanging out and I'm like, well, how's it so hard, man? I mean, like, at one point, he was sitting there playing Fallout, you know, Fallout 2, the really old version of Fallout on the computer. And he's like, what happened to my whole paycheck, man? And Buddy looks over. He's like, hey, you remember all those order outs? He's like, yeah. And all those like fifths of hard liquor and cases of beer and occasionally the bitches you would piss away money on. He's like, oh yeah, good time. Like 60 grand. 65,000 of paycheck. Just fucking pissed away. Like, okay, Mr. Anarchist, you could have went out and taken up maybe $15,000-$20,000 back then and bought some damn good land with that. With all of your free fucking rent and a decent job. But you just drank it the goddamn hell away and then bitched about the government. Meanwhile, some random hippie bitch, you know, would be all crawling over his ass. Now, me, I'm an ogre. Nobody's coming to save me. So, ironically, I'm accidentally more anarchist than most people could ever fucking imagine. Knowing that no one's coming to save me, I don't invest into society. I built my little survival pod here at the van. You know, I've got a house outright own and all that shit, but I fucking hate the place. I mean, it's a love-hate relationship. Got another couple pieces of land. I had to build that all on my own. And here's the truth of it. The way I got ahead was by doing things weird. When I lived in the woods for 4 years in my early 20s, I got a lot of shit from that. You know, but from who? Normal people. Normal people that lived in slightly better situations, but they weren't rich. So they were trying to crap on me because they were unremarkable people just trying to put down someone else. Yeah, I'm a little weird. I'll admit that. I'm a little weird. And I care a bit. I honestly, still to this day, and I wish I could kill it. I care a little too much. You know, I look at a problem and I try to fix it. Instead of just being like, yeah, man, it's the government. Yeah, man, it's that other group of people. Yeah, man, no, it's fucking you. And when I started realizing I look back, I am the real anarchy. When I'm out there living off next to nothing, like doing the van life thing, when I'm working, making a fucking job and I'm making really goddamn good money, but I'm still living off next to nothing. I'm not out there buying a bunch of shit trying to impress a bunch of people. Turns out I'm the real anarchist. Huh, funny, isn't that? Funny how that works? I'm not sitting there screaming for the government. And sometimes I think, hey, man, maybe I should have got on the system. Maybe I should have. Maybe I should have got that crazy check. Lord knows, I've seen people that are way more sane than me getting free money. I've seen guys that get like, there's one guy that got out of the military and his upper CO was this chick. And he basically, she coerced him into some sexual, at least that's what he says. So he's getting like $4,000 a month because he was quote unquote raped. Like, fuck you. Fuck you. Like how fucking flaky and stupid our system is. Most of the people I meet that claim to be anarchist and all that bullshit, you want to know what they are? They're just lazy fucks that want EBT and a free place to live. Me, I'm out building it. I'm out doing it. I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I built my own solar on this system. I've got my own ways of dealing with water. I like look in more innovative ways. I'm like, you want to know who the real anarchists were originally? Go back to the people that were pioneers. They crossed the goddamn country at a chance at something better, and they had to build it all from scratch. You know, go back and look at some of those hippies that did instead of being a bunch of San Francisco layabouts, they went back to the earth movements. And they were out there building their own goddamn homes. And was the government making it easy for anybody generally? No, no. The government was generally right in their way trying to tell you, as more HOA Karens, and by the way, a lot of my so-called friends that were anti-government, just like that old song by the Dead Kennedys, chicken shit conformist. Conformist like your parents. You know how? Eventually, when they got a little tired, like I remember the one guy, you know, toilet Casanovas, we'll call him, because God, there were so many bitches were like flies on shit with that guy. He just had it. If I've got -6 let's say I got -4 charisma, he has +6. My dog has +6. You know, it's funny. You'll see people like, oh my God, a corgi. And I'm like, oh my God, you're looking at a dog's ass. It's funny when you think about it. It's just something weird about people. But I'm telling you, that guy, right after 9/11, he put away all that stuff. Because when he saw what was going on, Patriot Act and all that, and maybe getting thrown in. By the way, this is so many fake-ass so-called anarchists, you know, socialist, whatever. The moment the hammer comes down, or the threat of the hammer comes down, they scatter like roaches. They're only strong as long as there's nobody really pushing back. And you know when I probably became a real anarchist? When I realized I could work within the system, ironically, and I could live off next to nothing, and I could save money like a god, and I could achieve the dreams that most people were like, well, if we only had a little more, we could have our own place. It's not that fucking hard. My mistake was coming back and be like, hey, here's the recipe. It's not that hard. Here's how you bake the cake. Yeah, you don't know. Translation, you're all fucking lazy. See, the problem with a lot of you, inevitably a true anarchist becomes a menarchist, meaning minimalist government. There's got to be a certain amount of government, but the less the better, you know? Just some basic regulations, a little law and order, and then can you leave us alone? Can you stop taking our money to subsidize a bunch of losers, a bunch of the fake anarchists out there? They're not anti-government. They're anti-job. They're anti-work. They're not even productive enough, even when they get the free money, to go out there and do anything with all the free... And that's probably the saddest fucking thing I saw around a lot of so-called broke, you know, people that were like, oh, the government. Was a lot of those people, they had the one blessing that most people dream of. Their own free fucking time. And they did nothing with it. They weren't growing gardens. They weren't working out. They were just sitting on their asses all the time. And look, it's your life to waste. But it's funny how many of the so-called anti-government types were just basically trendy retards. You remember the Che Guevara shirts? By the way, what's funny is the people that are like pro-gay that are wearing a Che Guevara shirt. I'm like, you know, that guy was like a famous homophobe. Like literally, like he lined him against the walls. You know that, right? Yeah, that's not true. You were a hot topic anarchist. That's what most of you were. It was fashionable. It was a fashion trend. Meanwhile, guys like me that were living out in the woods and just, I'm going and getting my own firewood. I'm doing my own thing. Guys that are out there, you know, people that build their own little homesteads. Those are the real, they're really the ones pushing back against the normal narrative. You know, and by the way, they don't do it trying to burn down society. They just go out there and they're like, yeah, I mean, I just don't want to have to pay a guy to do it. And I don't want to have to work more than I have to for a government that just takes out, 30 to 40 to 45% of your fucking money. Like, think about that one for a sec. We get to a few more percentage points for some of these upper crust producers or somebody just like 40%, up it by 10 more percent. And we're up to 50% of your fucking labor is given away to the government. I know a lot of people that they would never consider themselves anarchists, that are actually the real salt of the earth anarchists by just living minimalistically and being content. It is a revolution of sorts that nobody sees. Like, you'll see someone who seems like a modern Amish person, you know, like they're not going no electricity. They make their own solar. They got their own thing going on. They got their own well. They grow a lot of vegetables. They know how to work on their own car. That is the real revolution right there. Every time you can do something for yourself and you and your community can work together, you give a giant fucking middle finger. You give a giant middle finger to the system that is sitting there trying to exploit you. And you know what I saw with most of the people back in the day? They claimed anarchy, man. Most of you were just social parasites trying to be trendy. That's all it fucking was. I was never trying to be some burn down the system person whatsoever. I was a guy living in the woods, getting things done, making things happen with my own manpower, and being as least affected by society as possible. And you know what? As a van lifer, it's kind of the same. And that's part of the reason the government hates us. Because we're not paying that rent. We're not paying those high bills. And you watch, you've seen this before. When some of my people go out and buy their own pieces of property, they try to ban you from being able to live on an RV. They try to ban you. By the way, a lot of those trendy conformists, the ones that were so anti-government, tend to turn out to be the people that are in the HOAs down the road. Or your buddy that used to be the anti-this was the bad boy that marries the Blairs, you know, those type of rich girl types. You know, where they're like, no, HOA this, no, county regulation that. Yeah, it's funny. It really is funny how many of the people I grew up with that were anti-government were either just lazy parasites or like literally they're just like that song at the song, conformist like your parents. Look up the song, Dead Kennedy's Chicken Conformist. And by the way, I never intended to be some like middle finger to the government or the system. It's just I got really sick and tired of subsidizing, like in one way or another. I just the idea that I got to pay for water I don't drink. You know, it's like one of those things where I look at it and I think to myself, I'm just like, why? In what logical world does that ever make sense? You know, I look at it and I'm just like, fuck it. So I don't know, man. When I look at the situation when it comes to a lot of these people out there, you know, when they talk about this trans this or whatever trend comes up, just look at it, whatever fucking bullshit trend comes up. That's literally what a lot of it is. It's just trends. These people don't believe anything other than what most of them were told. You're like, oh, hey, this is fashionable now. Or, you know, you got underculture basically saying, oh my God, the president this, or oh my God, the corporation that. You remember the anti-oil protest? How big those were for a long time, and then suddenly they just don't hear about them anymore. That's not cool anymore. Social, trendy, fucking parasites. And most of the so-called anarchists back in my day, that's all you were. It was just a trend for you. I never intended on being the anarchist, but I'm living the dreams that most of you claimed, pronounced. I enjoyably live the dream that you could achieve, the minimalistic, laid-back dream, shaking off the parasite of the government. I'm living the dream that you claim to want. Meanwhile, most of you, back in the burbs, instead of back at the ranch again, back at the burbs again. Oh, hey, we better change this barbecue regulator. Like, fine, whatever. But yeah, it's funny how many times in my life I've been judged by a bunch of fucking fake trendy posers. And that's part of the reason I really, when I refer to Commonborns with a little bit of disdain, it's because most of you, you're not even fucking human. You don't even think like humans. You don't, it's like, God, man, when you think about that drive that makes us mankind as great as it is, you know, we're building, working, conquering, you know, like we got a problem, we got to solve it, we got to make things happen. Most of you are just waiting for the corporation or the government, hey, save me. Like, fuck. Like, another topic we'll talk about another time is I was watching the news and they're talking about making, you know, genetically altering babies to get rid of diseases and problems, and maybe you'll be a little bit taller. And I'm like, fucking thank God. Oh, thank God. You know, and people are like, well, wait a minute, isn't that kind of dystopian? No, I don't think it is. I grew up with a family member that has epilepsy, like Grand Mal Caesars. I've seen people that have horrible diseases genetically. I'm like, fucking tell me a reason that's a bad thing. And who, the people that are afraid of superior individuals like that coming into the world, like disease, just if nothing else, disease free, like at least the genetic diseases. The people that are most afraid of a higher IQ children of the future, the fucking low IQ fuckers that are living off the system right now. Like I said, a lot of people I grew up with. Anarchy, burn down the government, but give me a check. Those fuckers are afraid. Because what if your kids and all your sub IQ, probably fetal alcohol or fucking, like I know a lot of people say dope doesn't, like pot doesn't affect, children, but I think it does. I think you should be clean as fuck when you have a child. And I see a lot of these fake poser trendy fucks in every generation, and the slow degradation of like your genetics through fucking drinking and alcohol. And I'm like, I bet you fuckers are afraid as hell because you realize you're already sub right now. What happens if better people come along? And you know what? I bet there'll be a fucking public outcry by the common born masses, and they'll try to put the kibosh on all of it. But we'll talk about that topic later. Freedom Phil, like, subscribe, take it easy.